Incubator and the Makerere School of Public Health, with support from the Bloomberg Philanthropies, is one that is bringing us together this morning. This program is being supported by several ministries, but the stewardship of the Ministry of Water and Environment, the Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, among others. The initiative aims to address the pressing issue of drowning in Uganda, particularly in the lakeside districts of Mayuge, Rakai, and Masaka, but also for our colleagues from Design Without Borders, they have Serere and Soroti. The project was informed by research done by the School of Makerere, the School of Public Health at Makerere in the lakeside districts. And as a program, we are looking at reducing the drowning incidents among young people in and out of school, but also among the fishers by enhancing water and their awareness, providing swim instruction, and establishing a safe aquatic environment. This project was launched most recently in Masaka, and we had participation from different partners, and that was last year in November. Together with the district leaders, we have so far identified schools in the 3 districts, mapped out some sites where we'll have instruction sites where the ponds will be put up, swimming pools, put up, and these are going to be portable pools. Whereas in some other countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam, where we are doing something, we see that for them they have used or opted for using open waters like ponds, but for this particular program, we will focus on using portable swimming pools or pools in places where they are a bit far away from the pools that we are going to set up. This serves as a safe space for young people to learn life-saving swimming skills. We are not going to train people for the Olympics, but the focus is really on survival swimming. I know friends here will give us the statistics and what is happening in the country and probably in our neighboring countries. We have had some consultative meetings with partners and ministries, and we know that this initiative is going to help us make a contribution to the reduction of the drowning incidents. We acknowledge the contribution of the following entities, especially towards the development of our very first swim instruction curriculum, which has been reviewed by including international players from the World Health Organization, CDC, colleagues from Vietnam, Bangladesh, and others. And we hope that once this curriculum is passed, we can use it now and in the future to make sure that our young people in and out of school are able to avoid drowning incidents. We have the Ministry of Education and Sports, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry, and Ministry of Health, Ministry of Works and Transport, the Office of the Prime Minister, the National Curriculum Development Center. We have had representation from the CSOs, including Uganda Swimming Federation, Design Without Borders, Life-Saving Association of Uganda, Great Lakes Life-Saving Society, the Uganda Red Cross, the district local governments, among others. We are looking at having a campaign, a communications campaign that is focused on creating awareness in communities at the national level, but also in the different communities. And we have a campaign called Omanyi Okuuga, and in Lusoga we say Oidi Okuuga. I hope I got that right. Yeah, because we want to make sure that communities can get this information in the languages they best understand. And I'm sure in the coming months or the coming years, you'll hear about this campaign more and more. Allow me to recognize people that have come from the districts of Masaka. Those in our midst, you can stand up for recognition. Thank you, you are most welcome, sir. Thank you, you are most welcome. The team from Mayuge, are they here yet? The last we spoke, they were stuck in Mayuge. They are there. Someone else is still stuck in Jam. I hope they'll get here soon. Colleagues from Rakai, you are most welcome. Thank you for braving the early morning jam and being here with us. Why the documentary? We believe that the documentary is going to shed light on the issues we see in communities, but also is going to be an awareness tool, an awareness creation tool. We'll run other communication. These other communication campaigns like podcasts and radio and TV talk shows will be supported by some of these, like the documentary. So for those of us who are going to use the documentary, I request that as we go back to our districts, we are able to support the screening in communities. We're not just going to screen it here, we are going to translate it and make sure that it is watched in those communities. So we expect that people from Rakai, Masaka, and Mayuge are able to work with us to have this material translated and is screened in communities. This is not the last. We are going to have many more of these, and we request that we work together to make sure that we create as much awareness as we can, because the more we speak about these issues, the more people realize that the waters, whereas they are good, darling to some of the people who have stayed there for many years, they are still as dangerous and take lives. Allow me also recognize in our midst our board chair, Emeritus, Omukungu Joe Chigozi. Thank you, sir, for being with us. And I invite him to come and speak to us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Chigozi. I'm very excited to be here today. And I've been given a very simple task to represent our current board chairman for Reach a Hand. She's been held up, Dr. Enid, but being chairman for the last 10 years, I think this is a piece of cake for me. But I'm also excited. Protocol observed. I know that some of us have made it on time. I'd like to thank you all. I'd like to thank all who have trekked the different places. I've had people from Katakwi who made it early. That is interesting. I'd like to thank the management of Reach a Hand for first and foremost having the foresight to come up with this very great initiative that promises to have a lot of impact to the lives of Ugandans, especially the young ones. We are in an era where majority of our population are young people, and they are very susceptible to many of these challenges. I'd like to say that on behalf of the board chairman of Reach a Hand, Dr. Enid Mbabazi. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to read her speech verbatimly. Esteemed guests, partners, colleagues, and friends, standing here on behalf of the board chairman, it's a great honor and very grateful to Reach a Hand and all its partners for the development and the launch of this important documentary that seeks to raise awareness about the alarming issue of drowning, which affects, of course, many of our communities across Uganda. First and foremost, I'd like to express my gratitude to all of you who have worked tirelessly to bring this project to life. Let's give a round of applause to the Reach a Hand team. This documentary today is more than just a film. It is a powerful tool for change, allowing us to engage in meaningful conversations about prevention, awareness, and the necessary actions that must be taken to protect our people, and particularly the young ones, from this preventable tragedy. At Reach a Hand Uganda, we remain committed to addressing the health and safety challenges that affect our communities. And we know that there's a lot of work being done by government and other partners is very critical in helping us make strides towards building a healthier, safer, and more informed society. The collaboration between government, civil society, communities has been pivotal. And today's event is a testament to what we can achieve when we all come together with a shared vision. The documentary highlights the urgent need to tackle drowning as a public health issue and empowers us all to take action. It is not just about awareness, but it's about implementing solutions, ensuring that communities have the tools and knowledge that they need to protect themselves and the children from these tragedies. I would like to thank the filmmakers, Rahul, the Rahul team, our partners, every single person who has supported this project. Your commitment is bringing this issue to the forefront is truly commendable. As we move forward, I encourage each one of you today not to only watch this documentary, but to engage with it. Let it spark conversations among us. Let it inspire action. Let it ignite a collective will to prevent drowning and safeguard the lives of those who are most vulnerable. I thank you for being here and for your dedication to the cause and for your continued support of Rao's mission. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of our people. I'd like to thank you in advance, and I look forward to all those discussions and the impact that will emerge from this event. Yours truly, the board chair, Enid Mbabazi. Thank you very much.
Another clap for our board chair, please. Thank you very, very much, sir. I'd also like to recognize the presence of our commissioner, the Department of International and Transboundary Water Affairs, Ministry of Water and Environment. Sowed, thank you very much for being here. I'd like to recognize Kanari Mugume. I don't see him, but he was seated somewhere there. But would like to recognize him for the amazing work he's done, for being a voice to the voiceless in Uganda, and for the work that he does as a media personality. I'd also like to recognize the Mayuge District Local Government representatives. Thank you very much for coming. Makerere School of Public Health, thank you very much for coming. Dr. Oporia and your team. Members of Parliament present, the Life Saving Association, Design Without Borders, who are partners, the Rakai District Local Government, Masaka District Local Government representatives. I'd like to recognize the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Transport and Works, the Ministry of Water and Environment, the Office of the Prime Minister, and the Marine Police. All these parties have been very instrumental in helping us do the work that we're doing here today. And I hope this conversation goes beyond this hall, that at the end of today, we have that rallying call to go out and tell more people about what's happening in Uganda when it comes to drowning. So we have a rallying call for the drowning prevention movement. And we launched this in November last year. Reach a Hand Uganda and all our partners were in Masaka launching. I don't know if anyone remembers our rallying call. This is also in the report, the WHO Global Status Report on Drowning Prevention. So, does anyone know our rallying call? Anybody? All right, so our rallying call is anyone can drown, nobody should. All right? I'd like us to say that together because this should remain with us. Anyone can? No one should? So let's say it together, guys. I know we're eating, but because this is why we're here. Let's say it together. Anyone can? No one? Exactly. So that's our responsibility for each of us right here, that no one should drown. Not on our watch, not anymore, not in Uganda. This is a preventable cause of death that we're here to rally behind our country and say, this is it. We're putting an end to that. Thank you. So I'd like to call on our commissioner to give us a welcome remarks before we go onto our next part of the documentary viewing. I'd like to invite Sowed Sewagude, our commissioner for the Department of International and Transboundary Water Affairs, Ministry of Water and Environment. Please give him a hand as he comes in front.
Thank you, Linda, for that introduction. Linda has just told us who's represented here, the different organizations that the participants are coming from. And Benson also went through the protocol, so I won't be able to repeat our protocol. But I will just say, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. Good morning. All right, we are just having breakfast, so we should be able to respond energetically. But let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to this event where we're launching the drowning prevention documentary. And I would like to thank Reach a Hand that has been very instrumental in preparing this documentary as part of the drowning prevention project that they are spearheading together with other partners. These have been mentioned. Makerere University is one of them. Thank you. Design Without Borders. You're also recognized in your support for this project, as well as the documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, as Benson told us what they're doing as part of this project, maybe we could be asking ourselves, how does this fit in the grand scheme of drowning prevention? Now, as government of Uganda, we've prepared what we call a national water safety and drowning prevention strategy. It has been delayed to be launched, but has been planned that this will be launched this March during the Uganda Water Week. But this basically sets the framework under which government of Uganda would like to coordinate all partners that are involved in drowning prevention so that we address this challenge that we face as a country. I understand that during the screening of the documentary, we shall get the statistics. But when you look at those statistics, they're quite alarming. And as a country, we realize that actually we have the highest rate of drowning rates around our water bodies. So we believe that the strategy would guide such interventions to make sure that we tackle this preventable challenge. Within the strategy, one of the key pillars is on awareness raising. And this documentary actually fits in well under that pillar of awareness creation, because we believe that if we are going to save lives, first of all, they need to understand the dangers that are associated with these waters where most of our communities thrive. And those are mainly around water bodies, swimming pools, and also when it rains and then we see these floods. We could have seen a number of videos circulating where you find a lorry, much as it's loaded, but passing through a stream or a flooded road. But then all of a sudden you see it being swept off the road. This is about awareness. People don't know that actually, even if a vehicle is loaded, it can still be swept away by waters. So we believe that these kind of tools would help our communities to know the dangers that they face, but also the kind of interventions that they can undertake to protect themselves. I would like to thank, again, Design Without Borders and all partners that have been able to prepare this video. And I would like to thank also the participants here for having created time to come and participate. And already your presence here shows the kind of commitment and support that you can already render to this cause. I encourage ourselves to listen carefully, enjoy the documentary, but also carry the message of drowning as being a key danger to our society and all the intervention that we can undertake to make sure that we address it. Let's take that message to the communities and make sure that we all, no one should be able to drown as a result of negligence. Otherwise, I would like to thank you and let's enjoy the event. Thank you.
Let's give a better round of applause to the commissioner. Thank you. Tell the person next to you we're almost there. You know, when you go to the cinema, there's all these previews you watch before you get to the movie you've actually paid for. So I know we're here to watch a documentary, and I hope all these previews are getting in. You know, it's from the previews that you know what other movie I'm coming back for. So I hope we're soaking that in. And like I said, we're almost there. We're right down to the last. I'd like to invite Dr. Oporia from the Makerere University School of Public Health. He's just going to take 5 minutes and talk to us about the global status report on drowning that was prepared by the World Health Organization. You're welcome, Dr. Oporia. Let's give him a hand. I'd like the media team to prepare the documentary because we'll be viewing it right after this. Thank you.
Good morning. So, my name is Frederick Oporia from the School of Public Health. I head the Trauma, Injury and Disability unit. I am not going to use the presentation which I had prepared. I'm just going to speak to it without you viewing. So, historically, drowning has been neglected and it has never been talked about in many forums. But that changed in 2021, that the UN General Assembly actually recognized it and passed a resolution on drowning prevention. That followed by another World Health Assembly in 2023 that had the 76th resolution still focusing on drowning prevention. So from then, we've had several strides mandated by the WHO. Now, I am not an employee of the WHO. I am only speaking to this global status report of the WHO because I was part of the 10 people who wrote it for the WHO. Now, we call it the first global status report. And one would ask, but we have a global report on drowning in 2014. Why are you calling this one the first? The global report on drowning in 2014 was based on estimates and did not have systematic methodology of data collection. What makes this one different is that there was a systematic methodology used and 135 countries contributed to the data. That's about 70% of what the countries are, representing 85% of the global population. So from this report, we see or we note that over the last decade, more than 3 million people have lost their lives to drowning. This number seems to be small when you hear it until you attach a face or a family member to that. We are lucky and privileged that Bloomberg Philanthropies committed additional $60 million over the next 4 years to fight drowning. And this is going to be done in Vietnam, Ghana, India, the US, and Uganda. So we are lucky to be part of this, and that is why we are here today. So the African region, according to this report, the African region has the highest death rate, sadly. And even in the African region, when you consider lakeside fishing communities, Uganda actually leads. We have the highest death rate globally in lakeside fishing communities. These are the people most at risk, and the majority are young. Following that UN resolution, we've had several political commitments, one of them being the creation of the Global Alliance for Drowning Prevention. And I'm also happy to say that I have just been identified as a member to this alliance, the Global Alliance for Drowning Prevention. But also we have now every year commemoration of the World Drowning Prevention Day. These are opportunities that give us a platform to widen the message or to spread the message. I just want to mention some of the resolutions from the UN General Assembly that led to this report. One is appoint a national focal point for drowning prevention, which Uganda has already taken a step to that. The Minister of Water and Environment is the lead agency now. Develop a national drowning prevention plan. Commissioner Sowed has just told us we are launching the plan very soon. Develop drowning prevention programming in line with the interventions. Again, that is still part of the strategy. Consider introduction of safe water, swimming, and first aid lessons in schools. So we are envisioning a time when every child that has gone through school is able to swim and is able to administer first aid. These are a few resolutions among the many others. Drowning prevention contributes to about 9 targets of the Sustainable Development Goals. So this event we are gathered here today, we are indirectly or directly contributing to achievement of 10 goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. So that alone should show you the magnitude of its importance. As I wind up, I just want to mention that when we consider age groups, there are different conditions, diseases that are killing people. Unfortunately, for 1 to 4 years, drowning is the 4th leading cause of death. When we look at 5 to 14 years, drowning is actually the 3rd leading cause of death. And these are people that we are trying to prepare to be there when we are not there anymore. Drowning is taking them. Specifically in the African region, drowning is the 6th leading cause of death for 5 to 14-year-olds. Again, an alarm that cannot be overemphasized. When we read the report, there are certain elements that the Uganda has achieved, but there are still very many. For example, there are only 2 things that we have achieved out of the very many boxes that we are yet to tick. One, at least we have a strategy coming up, and then we have a lead agency. But there are very many other boxes that we are yet to tick. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we will have ticked all these. Lastly, when you hear about drowning, the most common phrase that struck the whole country in 2018 was balance the boat. And that is what many people relate with. And that only made news because of the caliber or the status of the people who were in that boat. They were not ordinary people. They were celebrities. They were people who live above the poverty line. In other words, they were rich people. So they made news. But as we end today, there are those people whom we may not know a lot about. They are fishermen deep down in those villages. And by close of business today, 8 of them will have lost their lives. And they will not make it to the news. By the end of the year, you can already do the math and know how many will be dead. So this documentary will be an opportunity for us to spread the message and understand the importance of drowning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Oporia, for that. Are we ready, media team? So I'd like to acknowledge the team from Richa Hand Uganda and Sauti Plus Media Hub that were behind the camera for the shooting of the documentary, and of course to Kanari Mugume that led the team. So I hope we are ready. Let's please pay attention. Let's limit movement and let's enjoy this experience and get in touch with the human stories on the ground of what's really happening in Uganda. Thank you.
This is Uganda, the country that I call home. Here at home, water is life, like we are often taught in school. It nourishes, sustains, and connects communities. But for those living along its shores, this is Uganda, the country that I call home. Here at home, water is life, like we are often taught in school. It nourishes, sustains, and connects communities. But for those living along its shores, water is also an untamed force, one that takes as much as it gives. Nowhere is this more evident than in Mayuge district, where the vast expanse of Lake Victoria tells stories of survival and heartbreak. The waters that are meant to be a gift of life have turned into a trap of death. For people like Sophia Byogero, a resident of Kaza Zone who lost her 4-month-old baby to drowning. On the fateful night, the baby's fever was unbearable, so the two ended up on a lake seeking for treatment onto the mainland. The lake was calm at the start of the journey, but later the boat started to wobble dangerously. Sophia's plan was to find medication for her baby, but the lake had other plans.
Abataasa baali wala kubenanda yali eyirenga buli muntu ali kuti okwekubamu mu lyato twalimu abantu basatu mwafaamu bameka babiri.
Years later, Sophia faced another heartbreaking choice: cross the lake to save her other sick child or stay on the island where help was scarce.
Yali mulwaire ng'asesema nakwidukana ng'ani muntu amwidwa lya government lijagusi.
The waters, once a trusted friend, had become a deadly gamble for her. Her leg trauma from her past incident was too big to overcome. She stayed on the island, but by the time the waters had calmed down, her second baby was gone.
Bamwidandabirako kuna ekivubamu yakola ki? Yanfaako n'akafiisa abaana babiri.
Even the pharmacies here can't do much. Medicine is scarce, and proper health care feels like a dream too far away. While at the island, I met a new friend. He narrates stories of his friends who have drowned, picking from his young memory like it just happened yesterday.
Amukwano gwange bamwise Medi yali musajja muwanvu nga munene yali ava Kalenga ng'asenya ebyennyanja n'agenda wali okunaaba tebaddamu mulaba.
Those who have survived the roughness of the lake have stories to tell, but they have not been left the same. Swibe here was a survivor years ago, but the memory of his colleagues drowning while he was in the same boat have not left him the same.
Nali nkuteeka ddomola nga kenkutte n'enkuba enduulu kati waliwo abaali bali kuyita kumpi awo nabo ne bagira ki ne bansanga busanzi ne bantwala kutale.
His experience on the lake has forced him to change livelihood from being a fisherman to goat farming.
Nze ebyokuvuba nabivaako kati mpe alisaawa dino enanda tigitwala ng'ekintu ekikulu ino. Njiriku aye tigitwala kugamba ng'obuvubi nga tiringa muvubi ino okusinziira ku kikanga bwekyo.
Swibe is among the 282 people living here on Simwe Island, Mayuge district. 282 is a number that dwindles with every life lost to the lake. Here, time moves differently. Medical supplies can take even months to arrive, and emergencies depend on the mercy of the weather.
Well, it's the weather that determines when to leave and when to move. So now we have to go.
These waters, vital as they are, have become a death trap. The government works tirelessly to build roads across the country. But here, on the waters, roads mean nothing. These people need boats, life jackets, and a reliable transportation, just as much as any highway or bridge. Yet the cries of those who live here seem unheard.
UNRWA, on behalf of government, has a responsibility to manage ferry services across the different water bodies. We have about 12 vessels which are scattered across the different water bodies, looking at River Nile, Lake Victoria, Lake Albert, and Choga.
The spokesperson of the Uganda National Roads Authority, Alan Sempewa, acknowledges the problem but points to a lack of funds.
Ferries are treated as an extension of our road network, but government continually plans for ferry developments as and when there is urgency, first of all, resources. So there's no doubt that the ferry services are needed. The need is really unstoppable because annually we transport not less than 5 million Ugandans.
In the neighborhood of Mayuge district, those that live around the lake in Jinja have decided not to wait for the lake to claim all of them.
How can we solve the problem of water accident on water? Who can tell me? Look at this. What is this called? Life what? Yeah. Now, we do advise people to put on life. Yes.
Before the training, there was massive water accidents on Lake Victoria and more so around Masese fish landing site because people were not much more aware of onto how to save lives on water.
John Bosco here has trained 60 people so far, but 60 is just a drop in the ocean.
We were trained how to swim. We also trained how to save lives on water, and we also trained how to carry out first aid on a patient who will have drowned on water, and also we're trained to prevent fire outbreak and prevention.
Across Uganda's lakes, the need is vast, and these efforts, though heroic, are not enough. Preventing tragedies like Sophia's require more than just goodwill. It demands systemic change, allocating water safety equipment to the lakeshore communities, providing rescue boats and enforcing standards in the life jacket market to ensure quality and availability. There's also a call to pass a law requiring all fishermen to learn how to swim before venturing onto the lake. A law that some dismiss as laughable, yet it could create a profound shift in water safety. In Mayuge district, the waters remain both a lifeline and a death trap. While neighboring communities like Jinja are fighting back, Mayuge still waits. How many more lives must be lost before there is action? To understand what steps are being taken to address these tragedies, we turn to Sewagude Sowedi, the Commissioner in charge of International and Transboundary Water Affairs within the Ministry of Water and Environment, who sheds light on the government's strategy for preventing drownings across Uganda.
As government, we have prepared a strategy on drown prevention. It's a 5-year strategy that we intend to launch in March of next year, 2025, and it addresses a number of gaps that we identified and prioritized. And these include creating awareness on the threats related to drowning, trying to set safe standards for boating and use or navigation on the waters, but also creating a resilience to floods, where we are trying to come up with early warning systems that will be able to inform the masses on where the dangers for flooding and definitely drowning are.
The Commissioner also highlights collaborative efforts with regional partners to enhance water safety.
We are working with other East African partner states with which we share Lake Victoria, such as Kenya and Tanzania, to establish a regional search and rescue system. And the regional center is currently being constructed in Mwanza through a project called Maritime Lake Victoria Communication and Transport Project. It's an ESC project that is funded by African Development Bank to ensure that we put in place measures to respond to incidences of drowning. Currently, we are trying to work with one of our partners called Design Without Borders to develop cost-effective life jackets that meet international standards, but also support the local communities in acquisition of these cheap jackets so that they can easily use them on the water bodies to save their lives.
The waters of Mayuge hold the stories of those who lived, loved, and lost. Sophia's grief is shared by many, echoing in the waves that claim so many lives. But amidst the sorrow, there's a flicker of hope, a hope that through awareness, action, and unity, these waters can become a source of life and not loss. For for the families of Mayuge. The future depends on the actions of today. The question remains, how many more stories will end in tragedy before the tides turn towards safety? Time to act is now, before another life slips beneath the surface.
Thank you very much. Can we have another round of applause for the